Right now, I absolutely cannot imagine myself not just smoking, but even holding a cigarette in my hands. If someone had told me at 25 that I'd one day be talking about smoking like this, I wouldn't have believed it. I probably would have laughed while taking another drag, and I often wonder how different my life would have been if, at 17, I had watched a video like this. Welcome to my channel. If you're a current or former smoker, you'll find this video very interesting and useful. And if you're a teenager who somehow stumbled upon this video, watch it with even more enthusiasm. It might just save you a ton of health problems and many years of a happy life. Today, we're talking about this incredibly, shockingly popular habit, smoking. This video is based entirely on my long history as a smoker. I'll share the most important things I've learned about it. I'm now 38, and for 15 of those years, I smoked regular cigarettes. For the last 5 of those years, my body was screaming at me that it was suffering, but I didn't listen, or rather, I didn't want to hear or listen. Growing up, I was a very athletic kid, always outside playing sports. Back then, we didn't have phones or computers, just the streets, the yard, and dozens of different activities we boys loved. Football was the main sport, in all its variations from one-on-one games to full 11v11 matches. Basically, however many of us showed up, we'd split into teams and play. The point was just to play. There was also basketball, volleyball, basically any game involving a ball and friends. Beyond that, we climbed stuff, went hiking, fishing, swimming, not in pools but in ponds. In winter, it was hockey, ice skating, sledding, skiing, cardboard sleds, and of course, snowball fights. In short, an active outdoor childhood in the 90s. Enough nostalgia, let's dive into the topic. Even back then, smoking was already part of my life passively. My father smoked at home, mostly in the kitchen, and not just regular cigarettes but Primo without a filter. That's terrible. The smoke was thick as a steam engine and smelled awful. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're lucky, and I hope you never have to experience it. With passive smoking, we inhale not just the visible smoke, it spreads everywhere, and most of it is invisible. Cigarette smoke is disgusting in general, but Primo without a filter is like an extreme source of pure stench. As a kid though, I didn't grasp the scale of the problem. I just accepted life as it was handed to me without my consent and passively smoked along. I started smoking myself in late 2003, at 17. Back then, the streets played a big role in shaping boys like me. And of course, falling in with the wrong crowd out of foolishness, as usual, led me there. Your environment has a huge influence, especially on teenagers. But I didn't realize that back then. After my first drag, despite the disgust, I still remember, I somehow finished that cigarette and had another one 3 hours later, and then it just snowballed. I told myself I was just experimenting and all that. Of course, it didn't help that smoking was cool back then, part of being tough, masculine, whatever. Total nonsense. 2 weeks later, I crossed the line and bought my first pack, Monte Carlo Blue. That moment can always be considered the starting point of my smoker's journey. My fall into this bad habit, I vividly remember buying that pack. I felt uneasy, knowing deep down that this was stupid and unnecessary. But I didn't stop. The allure, the trend, my own ignorance, they all won. I got hooked, like so many others. I smoked, enjoyed it, and lied to myself, saying it wouldn't hurt me much, or if it did, the damage would be minor. Oddly enough, around that same time, sports completely disappeared from my life. Coincidence? I don't think so. Over time, smoking became a long-term habit. Even though I knew I'd eventually pay with my health, the word eventually made me ignore it. I found comfort in it, a little escape, relaxation, a sense of adulthood. Eventually, I didn't even need excuses anymore. I just smoked on autopilot. When you're young, your body forgives a lot. Or rather, between 20 and 25, it tolerates and accumulates problems. Then, sooner or later, different for everyone, it starts malfunctioning. And once it starts acting up, it might never stop until the very end. For me, problems began after about 7 to 8 years of smoking and kept getting worse. It started with shortness of breath. Later, even mild exertion like a short run or climbing just 2 or 3 flights of stairs left me gasping. Then came the morning nausea after the first cigarette, especially on an empty stomach. Soon it was unbearable. Hypoxia set in, and at night my heartbeat would get irregular. That was scary. Falling asleep felt dangerous. During the day, after every cigarette, my head would fog up. As time passed, my condition worsened, and life itself started feeling gray and joyless. My brain kept signaling that I needed to quit this habit and get back on the right track. Over those 15 years, I made half-hearted attempts to quit. The more time passed, the more I tried, but I never truly understood what smoking was. Then, in 2019, when my body was completely exhausted, when I was a weakened man with no big goals in life, I decided to quit both drinking and smoking. I realized what a terrible mistake it all was. Here's the thing, we can't see inside ourselves, so smokers aren't scared by the state of their organs. And of course, they're in no rush to go to the hospital and get checked. We either lie to ourselves or just don't think about it. But with a long smoking history, everything inside is in bad or very bad shape. like an apartment that's been neglected for years. So, in May 2019, I quit drinking completely but kept smoking temporarily to avoid shocking my psyche with too many changes at once. Alcohol and smoking always go hand in hand. It's rare to find someone who smokes constantly but never drinks, or vice versa. It all comes from the same place. Over the next year, I studied addiction, both alcohol and smoking, more deeply than ever. I saw the big picture, what it is, who's behind it, how it works, who profits, and most importantly, why I still smoked. After quitting alcohol, 9 more months passed. Then, on February 28, 2020, symbolically, my father's birthday, smoked my last cigarette, knowing for sure it was my last. At the time, I lived on the 7th floor, and climbing those stairs was an ordeal. The shortness of breath was unbearable, and I was only 32. Can you imagine? 32 years old, and 7 floors felt like a challenge? That's just sad. I remember my first smoke-free day since adolescence, February 29th, a rare date. I was incredibly happy, despite the cravings. I can say with absolute certainty that tobacco is, first and foremost, a business built against people. Once you realize how amazing life is without this poison in every aspect, you defeat the strongest addiction, the psychological one, the one in your head. Then all that's left is the physical habit, which is much easier to beat. For the physical habit, I used anti-smoking pills for 2 weeks. They made me nauseous, sometimes violently, but they killed the urge to smoke in the moment. But I'll warn you, there's no universal way to quit, no matter what ads say. Pills work for some, patches for others, gradual reduction for others. Some don't need anything, they just quit. What works for one may not work for another. The key is tackling the psychological addiction first. The first few smoke-free days were fine, aside from pill-induced nausea. The weirdest part was not stepping out onto the balcony every hour or two, or at work, not making the usual trip to the smoking room. Instead, I'd walk around the office building. Another ingrained habit was smoking before and after the subway, but the pandemic helped the subway shut down, so that routine disappeared. For the first 3 weeks, I monitored myself closely, working on my mindset to avoid even thinking about relapsing. But everything went surprisingly well. The pandemic also meant I wasn't around smokers. Avoiding secondhand smoke's something I'd been exposed to since childhood. After that critical period, I rediscovered my athletic self. I started doing mini workouts, and after 3 months, I began training on pull-up bars. I've never looked back. By the way, since 2017, I'd often thought about running and getting back into sports, but I knew that while still smoking, it'd be brutal on my heart, so I kept postponing it. As years passed, funny thing, if you tell a smoker, smoking is evil, it's killing you, their psyche does the opposite. They defend their right to smoke, sometimes even more fiercely, as if proving they're right. The smokers go to argument, it's my choice, but that's completely false. It's my choice. It's someone else's idea, planted in your head to make you a smoker, to get you hooked, to make you believe it's your decision, your conscious stance, so you'd carry it through life, defending it, convincing yourself you're right. It's incredible how malleable the human brain is. If we don't actively control our own thoughts, someone else will, like marketers with their tricks and manipulations. With addictions, it's always working against you. If you want to see how smoking affects you right now, do any cardio. Run 100 meters, climb 5 to 10 flights of stairs without stopping, swim, or bike. The results will be immediate. Think about it. What is a cigarette? Dried leaves mixed with sawdust, tar, acetone, benzene, arsenic, nitrate, chlorine, acetaldehyde, carbon monoxide, ammonia, dimethylnitrosame, formaldehyde, hydrogen cyanide, acrolein, and other harmful substances, the exact recipe known only to manufacturers, all wrapped in paper with a sponge, filter, and glue. And I paid to inhale this into my lungs and was supposed to enjoy it. That's absolute madness. Whether it's tobacco or vapes, the result is the same, a psychoactive effect. You steal pieces of life from yourself and your family, wasting time, money, and nerves. And the smell? Oh, the smell. For yourself and, worst of all, for others, often for your own kids. About 50% of children worldwide suffer from secondhand smoke. Their own parents poison them. I grew up in such a family. So did my wife. So did almost everyone we know. Here's the equation. We trade our time, appearance, and health for money. Then we give that money to some corporate entity, convinced it's our choice. Later, we desperately defend that right, ignoring statistics. For example, the fact that smoke breaks steal 18 full days a year sounds unimpressive. But hearing that smoking cuts 10 to 15 years from your life, that's scarier. Yet people miss the biggest factor, quality of life. That's hard to quantify, but the difference is colossal. Life gets worse and worse until you either quit or die. It's been 5 years since I quit. The idea of holding a cigarette now disgusts me. I hold my breath walking past smokers. I can't face a freshly smoked person. The smell is unbearable. The longer you're smoke-free, the sharper your senses become. Smoking dulls taste and smell. Quitting slowly restores them. I can confirm 100%. Final takeaways. Tobacco is a harmful idea implanted in us young to make us destroy ourselves paying for the privilege. We're tricked into believing smoking is our choice, that we need it. Vapes and e-cigs are the same. Only their makers know how harmful they really are. Big Tobacco's main targets, kids and teens. How many people do you know who started smoking after 25? Exactly? In my country, tobacco kills approximately 500,000 people, yearly a whole city erased. There are 2 ways to quit. Fake, relying on willpower alone. Unreliable, real, understanding the why, that leads to true freedom. You can quit at any age, any stage if you truly get it, and find real motivation. If you know all this and still smoke, you're either consciously or subconsciously After quitting all my bad habits and returning to sports, I set a goal. To build my dream body, I brought back running, cycling, fell in love with pull-ups, and added daily workouts and walking. 5 years have flown by, and I'm thrilled with the results inside and out. I also recently started this channel, where I'll share more useful content. I've learned how incredible it feels to breathe for real. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. I'm glad I could share my story. Like if you found it interesting, comment your thoughts. Subscribe here and on Telegram for more. Stay healthy. See you next time.